Oftentimes, I meet people and talk to them who really believe that God has called them to make a difference in the world in a very dynamic and profound way. They are much like Nehemiah in Nehemiah chapter 1, when he discovered that his hometown of Jerusalem had met utter disaster and that the walls were torn down and the gates were burned. His people were in oppression and suffering. And in Nehemiah chapter 1, he really senses that God is wanting him to go back and to help his people, wanted him to be a difference maker. The outcome was powerful, but it's interesting and should not get lost in this context that when Nehemiah went to the king to ask him for permission, the king was his boss, asked him for permission for supplies, materials, and assistance in getting things in Jerusalem in place, he uttered a prayer. He asked God to give him special favor. He prayed the prayer of someone, a pivotal prayer, of someone who wanted to make a difference. I've had the opportunity to travel in over 100 countries in my life, and I have always been interested to see that around the world, cross-culturally, God calls women and men to be difference makers, to be able to see their communities that are struggling, sometimes that are impoverished, sometimes communities and countries that are governed by ruthless rulers and leaders, sometimes very corrupt politicians. They're asking God in the context of their lives to be a difference maker. History has been kind and given great favor. God's favor has been kind upon those who have been difference makers. I think of William Wilberforce, just one voice, who in England spoke up against slavery. It was tough, it was difficult, but he made a difference. And as a result of his hard work, as his determination under God, he was able to help change not just the laws of slavery, but completely shift the economic context of England, the United Kingdom, and ultimately, with that powerful nation, the world. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to make a difference? How about beginning by asking God to help you? Go to him at this pivotal moment and say, God, would you use me to make other people's lives better? Pray today. Pray that pivotal prayer to be a difference maker.